Hi guys, my name's Joel, and I'm a 3D character artist currently working with Bungie. And today I'm gonna be talking a little bit of my story and my experiences as well, like based on game jams and work. So, a little bit about me. 3 years ago, I decided to pursue a career in arts, and I started by drawing concept art digitally, like just 2D concept art. And I knew that after getting some experience with that, I knew that I wanted to take it a little bit further away. And I decided to enter a one school, like a 1 year college program for 3D art and concentrated in character design and character pipeline for games. Um, while I was studying for them, this small studio in Puerto Rico contacted me. Their name is Veo Veo Studios, run by Julio Plaza and Pedro Cruz. Amazing people, really trying their best to, push the industry back home. And uh, I remember I sat with them at a Starbucks, and as soon as they saw my work and what I could do, they told me like, "Oh, can you start working with us right now?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, sure." So yeah, like about like 2 years, I would say, or almost 3 years, I started working with them and with a small studio, creating VR experiences and AR experiences as well. And I was able to, while studying at the same time, I was able to like put a lot of tools to practice. Like I was not just doing characters. I was doing pretty much the whole like touching all areas of game design. And it was a great experience. Like to be honest, it was tough, but it was great. Um, when you join a small studio, you have to put many hats. And when you fall in situations like that, it's really good to take advantage of them and try to learn as much as you can. And so that's what I did. And then a few months ago, I wanted to go. I was doing pretty much practicing like a lot of areas of uh, game design, and I knew that I wanted to concentrate on just characters because that's really my passion for now. And I just want to be able to say like, oh, this is my strongest suit, and I know what I'm doing, and yeah, like I can just go anywhere after that. So I applied for Bungie. They contacted me. I went through their interview process, which was pretty interesting and rough, but I managed through, and now I'm working for Bungie as a 3D character artist on the Armor division. Um, so that's a little bit about me. If you guys want to know a little bit more, feel free to ask, and I'll do my best to answer. So just bear with me a little. Like, this is this is pretty new to me. So yeah, please do. So talking about the game jams, so there's really no like it doesn't matter whether you use your own assets or if you create if you just outsource your assets, because there's many ways to outsource assets, and both ways are good to be honest. But for me, from experience, the last game jam I entered was the Cultural Heritage Game Jam, and on that game jam, I really wanted to learn tools and just do things that I have never done before. So me and some friends decided, okay, like let's make a small team, and in 2 weeks we created um, a prototype of a game, fully using our own art and assets. And what we did was like in just one day we created a GDD, which is a game design document, just portraying our ideas, like just dropping. Actually, no. Let me go back. We just met together. We got on a Discord call because it's a pandemic. We can't meet in person, um, and we just started dropping ideas. And at the end, we just picked the best ideas of what we thought was possible to do on the time frame and what sounded cool at the same time. So at the end, once we had our idea, we created a GDD with our goal, like what we like our vision, so we could have like a more concrete visual of what we're doing. And then we set a Discord channel where we divided each sections like, oh, okay, here goes the concept art, here goes the 3D art. Um, and then we had another section for the programmers as well, which was pretty interesting to see that we were able to create that format. And we were just a team of like 5 people, and not of all of us could work full time in it. So after we had the ideas, like when that was happening, Procreate launched a new update where you could draw 3D, like you could actually import your 3D models into Procreate and draw on them. So we really wanted to try that out, and uh, with our game, let me actually like I have previews here of I won't be able to share screen, but I do have it here on my tablet, and I really want to show you guys some of the process, like of what went through it. So these are some of the concepts for the characters that I created for the that game jam, and then after having like a more like visual idea of what we had, we created them in 3D. We rigged them and animated them ourselves, and after that we started prototyping in Unity. We used Unity for our game and just creating like the base of the level. The game is like a puzzle style, top view, like bird view. And then after that, we started polishing, adding colors and things like that, and just the game just getting more shape. And by the end, we had a working game full of animations, mechanics, a little bit of story. We couldn't really concentrate much on the story, but we do want to someday finish the stories. Um, so yeah, like the the idea we ended up with was like your the world is pretty much ending, and we wanted to use the one of the beautiful trees from Puerto Rico, like the ceiba, and the idea was like the ceiba, it sprouts, like it's very rare when it sprouts. So for this, and the idea behind it is like there's like the ceiba tree collects like spirits and helps spirits, like it guides them to the skies. So we thought about it like it's the end of the world because things are just not going well with humanity, and it's all burning and all that. So this little guy, this little character is like the last hope for the souls to transcend, and you have to go through a hazardous like level, collecting souls and helping them, like guiding them to back to the tree. And once you were done with that, then you were done with the game. So that's a little bit of the base idea. It's a little bit more complex than that, but that's as far as I'm gonna go with it. Um, and and yeah, like that's pretty much the project we had. It was fun. It was great, and it was I also worked with people that I didn't know. Like we actually contacted other people that were interested. We were like, hey, can you like do you want to join us? And that was a nice experience. So as to why do I think assets, like your own assets, like the benefits of your creating your own assets is that when you are creating a game, whether it's like a game jam or for yourself or anything like that, yeah, sure, you can just create a prototype, and you don't need to worry about assets, and it's less. I mean, it can be as equal as consuming, because when you search assets, you sometimes can't find the right assets, and you go back and forward, test assets if they work in the engine or if they really go with your vision. So I'd say like if you have a pretty concrete team, like if you're like, and it's well divided, like you have the programmers, you have the artists, you have someone dedicated to 3D art, um, and you have a good vision as well. I think it's really good to try to envision your own style into the game that you're creating, because it's not just creating a prototype, it's just putting yourself into the game as a team and showing your vision like to the rest of the world. And there's nothing better than doing that, than being able to show people the way you see things. Um, and it's not just that, like creating assets is actually even easier than, like it's more simple than many people think. Like when you create a game, there's many ways to do it. There's 3D, there's 2D, and I don't know. There's also like there's many other tools as well, like as Quail, that you can use in VR to prototype your own visuals. Um, so it's actually you know it's not that. I mean, I wouldn't say it's not that. It's not that hard, but once you know a little bit of the basis of the tools, it's pretty easy to get through. Um, so based on experience, when we created that game, uh, we had full control of how we wanted the game to look. We also had full control of the assets we needed as well. Like we decided to go with modular pieces, so we created like five to six pieces um, for the level design, and then we just started duplicating them around the level. And from what I don't know if you guys were able to see, right? Please let me know if you didn't. I can show it again. And like it doesn't look duplicated. Like it's synergized pretty well. For the 3D assets, we actually used Maya. Like we've made all of our assets in Maya directly, and then for Maya we exported them to Procreate and textured in Procreate. Which ones do I recommend? I definitely recommend. I mean, Blender is free, so if you don't have a Maya, if you're a student and you have Maya, I would say go for Maya. But if you don't, definitely go for definitely go for Blender because it's free. It's not hard to learn as well, and it's a tool that's growing a lot as well. So it's whatever tool you have and available, go ahead and learn it because it's gonna help you a lot. But yeah, after that we exported our 3D assets to Procreate. Let me see if I can actually launch one here. So I think it's a Procreate. It's becoming an extremely useful tool right now. Okay, so here's the the assets. It's all hand painted, as you can see. So that's what we used to texture all of our assets, even the level, so like the level assets. And it was pretty fast as well. Like it didn't take me more like maybe like an hour or two. More like an hour to texture. But that's me talking base, like, because I already used the tool. I would say it could take like someone that's new to it, maybe 2 to 3 hours. And the assets don't really have to be perfect as well. That's something important. Like when you create assets for a game jam, especially, it doesn't need to look perfect. It doesn't need to blend in correctly. It's just as long as you have your like vision there, and you're presenting your idea and it's readable. I think that's perfect. There's nothing better than that. Like that's an extremely good start. And it's also because in the game jam, you're really just putting yourself out there to not just network. It's also like learn new tools, um, and also go through the experience of like structure in a sense. I like SketchUp for creating non-organic models, and then ZBrush for organic. Yeah, yeah, definitely. The reason we didn't use ZBrush was because we knew our assets were not as detailed, and the shader we were using in Unity didn't really require normals, so we just went straight to Procreate and just drew whatever details we needed, and then export it to like yeah, export it back to Maya to rig it, and then import it to Unity. I have used GIMP. Um, to be honest, hmm, drawing textures on softwares like that can be a little bit tricky. I think it requires a little bit of of like experience and muscle memory, like because UVs become so much more important when you create textures using tools like GIMP and Photoshop. But I would definitely recommend GIMP if you have no other source to create your textures. Like definitely. SketchUp I've never used. For I personally use ZBrush as well for non-organic. It's something I've had to learn in the past few months. Like once you actually like get the feel of creating non-organic tools on ZBrush, it's it's surprising to see how far you can go. Yeah, yeah, sure, sure, Rafael. So Procreate's last update, they added a feature where you can just import, you can export from Maya. You can you can't import FBX into it, but you can import OBJs. But there's another file that if you have it's a USDC, I think it is. It's a USDC file, and if you export it as an USDC file, you're able to also tweak normals, roughness, metalness, and albedo. Uh, so if you have Procreate, you just have to update it, and you already have the feature, and you just have to import your 3D models. I mean, does the 3D loses? No, not at all, not at all. It keeps the all the. Let me see if I can turn off the textures here, so you can have a little bit um, like a better representation of it. So here's how it looks in Procreate. It keeps it. It's just like a normal like 3D software. I'm actually still pretty amazed how they were able to do this on a mobile device, and it works pretty well as well. It's not perfect. I think it's still on early stages, but it does wonders, to be honest. And if you're into painterly styles, I highly recommend it. Um, awesome. So, uh, I do recommend like before starting the game jam, I would say look for tools that you want to learn and look for like also pay attention to tools like Procreate because it makes life so much easier when working like for example a game jam. Like when you're working on a game jam, like look for tools that you haven't tried and just learn them in the process because while you're learning you're also creating your own assets you know um, and if you have some actually I should be elaborate on that more. If you have some experience, definitely go for it. If you don't have experience, you can go for it, but it can be a little bit tough, or it might turn out to be great. In that case, you can just take a day, a day maybe to try to learn the tool and see if you understand it correctly. And if you don't, then definitely outsource assets, because that's just gonna help you. And outsourcing assets as well can give you the freedom to actually modify them as well. So you can also use pre-made assets and make them your own. But other than that, I think when you make your own assets, you're putting your whole soul to it, and you're really like, I mean, there's many studios that do outsource assets or reuse assets. It's totally normal and it's fine to do so. Um, but as a base start, I think it's great to know how everything works, like understand how tools work, how they all connect with each other, um, because it gives you a much better understanding of what needs to be done and the purpose of each tool. Oh, here's another one. As you can see, they're extremely simple. Like when you create your own assets, you don't have to overcomplicate it. From what I've learned in my studio, we don't really outsource, but we reuse a lot of the assets and shaders to, because We don't like there's no point in having to make shaders that are going to be the same. The concept of saving time, you know, I guess this is when you're a little bit more experienced, if you can do it and there's tools you want to learn, I definitely recommend for you to actually try to make your own assets. It's gonna make it more fun as well. And it's worth a try. Like when you're in a game jam as well, it is about creating something. Like you don't need to be like it's just a game jam. Like you need to put everything that you can practice. Anything you want to do that you're not able to do, maybe like in a more serious environment, I would say do it there. Because that's where you'll learn the most, and you'll be networking along with other people, and you'll have a network like a system of like a network system where you can just ask anyone for help. Uh, and if you don't like finish, there's nothing wrong with that either. Like I mean, try to go for the goal, of course, but if you don't get it done, it's totally fine. Like as long as you learned something, you had a great experience, you make connections. I think that's really the essence of the game jam, just giving that platform for people to just make connections and learn new things and try new things as well. Like I know there's a lot of people that are new to game jams and they're just trying it out and they discover a passion, a hidden passion. Do you recommend artists use the assets they create in a game jam on their portfolio? Um, that depends. I would say that depends, definitely. Maybe not. Depends on because when you portfolio pieces need to not just show quality, they need to show understand like your understanding of the workflow and pipeline, at least the basic pipeline. Because to be honest, when you join studios, it's it's completely different to what you know. Um, but I would definitely, for a good example of what I did when I was going through my interviews, I did reference a lot of because I was actually going through the game jam when I was going through the interview. So it's good to mention things during interviews of things you're doing like game jams because it shows that you know that you really want to learn and you're open to trying new things. I didn't explain as well the guy I mentioned earlier. Here is his TDC talk. Oh, thanks. Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. Like, I think the no time, like no budget, no problem. Um, definitely. Like I fully agree with it. Not everyone has the time as well. Like that's also an important point of like the game jams as well. Like, it's a lot of people working, but a lot of people have full-time jobs or they have family to take care of or school. So yeah, when you don't have time, then definitely I would say like outsource assets. Um, but I would recommend at least maybe try making one of the assets yourself. Just it's just if you don't have the experience on that area, because it's great to have, uh, and it's great to go through it as well. There's really to be honest, I can't think of any specific books or tutorials right now. 'Cause the way I went through it, I just picked a school, a 1 year school that gave me all the resources I needed. And I think what people really need is the resources. And as long as you have the passion towards learning, you know, it's just a matter of taking advantage of those resources and learning for yourself. Because I didn't really use any specific um, like tutorials or books. I just looked whatever I needed, like servers of other artists, because they'll also have a lot of answers that for questions you have when you're learning 3D modeling. Oh, that's a tough one, Carlos. Um, I mean, so far, I think I prefer my experience in Bungie. I love my previous studio. I really do love them, but when you join a studio like that and you see that, like something about indie studios is that, especially ones that are starting, is that you need to fill a lot of hats and The structure might not be there yet, so it can be a little bit tough, to be honest. But once I joined Bungie, I was stressed at first. I was like, like it's gonna be tough, like it's gonna be a lot of work. But no, it's actually pretty chill. Um, Working with them, and honestly, that it feels great to be able to do like what I love, and be super calm about it. Um, the only game I have made was made in Ruby with the Ghost framework. I went to learn Unity or Unreal. Okay, that's a really good question, Rafael. So, I think Unity is definitely known more to be more code friendly. Um, so if you have a great programmers, I'd say go for. I mean, it also depends on the style, because if you're just going, for example, if you're just doing a platformer or like a 2D side scroller, or like a bird view, like top view game, like very minimalistic or simple, go for Unity. It's gonna make it more easy to work with, because Unreal is already so, like, the base of Unreal is already set to be like more realistic per se. Um, and I know the coding aspect of in Unreal is also different. So it really depends on what your vision is. Like if you're definitely like if you want something to look like realistic, with extremely cool light, definitely go with Unreal. But you can achieve the same in Unity. Maybe well, not exactly the same, but something close to it with Unity. Yes, yes, Carlos. I did have some experience before I started doing 2D. It was actually I started drawing right after Hurricane Maria. That's what actually pushed me to start getting more into art. It's kind of weird. I just had nothing else to do. I was like, okay, I need to do something about it, and I just started drawing and learning by myself how to draw. And then to take it a little bit more serious, I joined it's called Schoolism. And I was accepted to join a 1 month workshop program with them, which helped me a lot to understand more about concepting and character creation. I would say that generally I did have a pretty good knowledge of drawing, and previous to that, I also used to work as a photographer. And honestly, photography helped me a lot to understand the 3D, like how 3D works, especially with light, like lighting. So honestly, any type of art that you learn is gonna help you greatly, and any other kind of art, because they all complement each other. How do you prototype? Do you use pen, paper, or you go straight? I go straight to Unity. At least in the last game jam we had, we went straight to Unity. We created we just used cubes to make sure, like we just started building the level using cubes, and we just made it accessible for the programmer. We also use GitHub, so we were able to go about like synergize like the project um, with everyone. But yeah, we prototype it using Unity, especially so the programmer could start like prototyping as well, how it would work, like the movement and stuff like that. But any type of prototype works, but I think in-engine prototyping helps a little bit more to understand if it works or not. Um, hmm, at least for the game jam we didn't use LEDs because our game was so simple. Yeah, it depends. It depends on the kind of game you're making, I'd say. Like if it's an open world, and and the frame rates start dropping, definitely go with that. But in the last game we did, it was so like we managed to keep everything so low poly that we really didn't need to create any sort of LEDs or anything like that. Currently working with Destiny 2, because I know that they're still working. Like they have a lot of cool projects coming out this year for Destiny 2. I'll look forward to them. In conclusion, I do want to like get my conclusion about my thoughts, like why I wanted to talk about this. Um, when creating a game, like especially when you don't have a professional environment, definitely try to make the best out of it. Like try to gain and try to gain as much out of it because it's one of those small opportunities that's going to give you the platform to just do whatever you want and learn whatever you want. Um, and you can outsource assets like that. That's completely fine, and I do recommend that as well. Um, like this is meant like more like my experience on how it was for me when I created my own assets. And it's like after we were done with our project, we all just sat down. It's like, oh wow, like we can actually do this. Like we can make a game creating our own assets and like we gave it our style as well. We had full control of everything and we had a better understanding of a lot of things after being done with that game jam. And I just wish like I just hope like whoever tries to make their own assets like it's able to succeed and able to gain as much knowledge as I did, as me and my friends did. Okay, feel free to, you can find me on ArtStation with my name. I'm also on Twitter and also on Instagram. Just feel free to message me anytime. And, you know, we're all still learning in this process. Even the most professionals in the industry, even the ones that have the most experience, trust me, they don't know everything. Everyone is still learning, still. Okay, guys. Well, I'm gonna end it there. It was great. I hope this maybe opened like your mind to try new things when going into game jams or just personal projects. And I hope you guys have a really great time with this game jam and just make the best out of it. And I look forward to getting to know more of you. You can also hop on the Discord channel. But yeah, have a good day, guys, and good end of the weekend. And yeah, feel free to contact me anytime. Bye.